Well, you've been making notes now for quite a while.
Well, this
You've been remarkable. I've never seen you this
It was
quiet.
because I can hardly contain myself.
He's got his rebuttal.
You know, we are going very far afield, from redistribution of power to the Battle of Bunker Hill to the leading cause of fear in this country being sugar. You know, I've got a lot of feelings about the breadth of this discussion.
What's your heart?
So I want to preface my remarks by saying not all ex-aging hippies are fat entrepreneurs. And there are still some people who have retained the faith and still believe that somehow there is hope and possibility for a dream that allows us to live together in community. I also believe that we do have to redistribute power. There is no question about that. And that the problems of fear in this country have less to do with sugar than they do with isolation. We are not together. All of the credible norms that once sustained us as a nation have become less believable. The idea that you can become what it is that you most want, that there is equal distribution of wealth, that it's possible that if you can go to school that you can exceed the capacity of what it is that your parents achieved. There is no such promise in contemporary American life. The idea that somehow government will care for us, or that the CEO has your best interest at heart, or that this nation will send you to a war that is predicated on a system of justice and a distribution of equality is no longer believable. As a result, when you don't have credible norms that sustain you, you take care only of yourself. And in a nation in which morality has become subordinated to expediency, in which you can justify anything you want if you can get away with it, and that the nature of laws are predicated on the representation you can afford rather than on whether or not it's right or wrong. When morality becomes subordinated to expediency, it tears the fabric of a nation predicated on democracy. The redistribution of power means that we once again have to believe that what we think and feel, and a nation founded on all the principles that you elucidated, still has some possibility that the dream can be achieved. We are increasing the divide in this nation between rich and poor. And healthcare suffers now from the same pornographic pursuit of profitability that everybody else is pursuing. As a result, if you are going to distribute healthcare on the basis of whether or not you can afford it, we will increase the divide. The leading cause of fear, it seems to me, is not how much Coke or sugar you're going to eat, but the fact that we are disconnected from all the things that we once believed in that sustain us during the hard times. And as far as Ritalin in children, another subject I have some interest in that is parenthetically related. When we become disconnected as family or as marriageable kind of continuous connections, if both parents have to work, if there are not enough teachers because we we can't afford teachers. We give our most precious commodity to the hands of teachers who we reimburse less than garbage collectors. When we expect fewer teachers to teach more children, when parents are no longer home to take care of kids, when kids are being raised in a generation in which you can do whatever you want and there is no delay of gratification and immediacy is the name of the game, then if you're not feeling good in every moment, you know, it's essentially un-American. We medicate people who are occasionally depressed. There's nothing wrong with being depressed. You want to learn something from the experience. And you want to use it to apply it to some conditions in the future so that you can train yourself to deal with the ordinary vagaries of life. But in our culture, if you are not feeling wonderful in every moment, if you are not striving for life, you ought to be on a drug that was developed for narcolepsy. Wake up to life if you're tired at the end of the day. A drug developed for a rare disease, instead of if you're tired at the end of the day, maybe you ought to take a nap. And if your kids are not behaving well, maybe you ought to think about the setting of limits, and that you can't have everything you want, and that you ought to be able to say no, and you ought to be able to apply those limits consistently as parents. But divorce is commonplace, families both have to work, children are not supervised, so we chemically straitjacket children because it's more convenient. Schools do not medicate kids. Doctors medicate kids. And the doctors medicate them because the teachers are overwhelmed because they're asked to do too much, and so that they are looking for some support, and if the parents can't provide it, they will give it to their kids. Parents will give it to their children even if it's not efficacious because they're afraid to get off it. 20% of the kids who are on it don't respond at all, but they don't discontinue it. In any event, that's why I've been quiet.